average, a sloth will fall out of a tree once a week, usually to poop, I guess, because that's when they do that.
Time to go. All right, time to dance.
It's convenient at that point. I'm Kat.
And I'm Alpha.
And
we're the Ghouls next door. Except one of us is a sloth next door.
That's true. A
He's
very
chilling.
Cute sloth next door with little sloth friends.
There's no such thing as not a cute sloth.
Yeah.
Straight up.
I mean, okay, first, the sloth in this movie wasn't a real sloth, so it wasn't super cute, but real sloths, absolutely.
It was a puppet sloth. That is true. But I'm gonna put up a picture if it lets me. I think she was pretty cute. I think Alpha was pretty cute.
Alpha was pretty cute.
That's Alpha in a bathing suit and a little hat. If I had a sloth, I'd 100% put in a little bathing suit and a hat.
That's why you're not allowed to have sloths.
It's why no one's allowed to have sloths. It's illegal.
Yeah. The sloth wouldn't enjoy being in
They don't like to do that.
Well, this one did in the movie because it was a puppet.
Well, did they really enjoy it? No,
that's true.
Because they were murdering.
That's fair. They had to have a reason, right? You got to give the sloth motivation, incentive to murder.
Loose motivation. Taking liberties with that word.
Yeah.
The Ghouls Next Door, a media literacy show from a horror lens where we explore the real life, historical, and nature influences behind our cinematic fears. And we are talking about killer animals this month. And, some of them are reasonable fears. Some of them are irrational and absolutely silly. I think with this film that we're talking about today, Slotherhouse, it's very clearly that people were like, what is the most unscary, most least dangerous, least dangerous animal we have? And it's definitely the sloth. And also, I think with this film, one thing I will say, because we're going to get into it, obviously, but the trailer for it, I wouldn't say watch the film. It's not something I would say. I mean, it's fun. It's whatever.
It's very silly.
But don't, it's very blah. But the trailer for it gets all the kicks out really quick. So if that's really the height of it, is if you do the trailer, that's all the good parts.
Yeah.
Yeah, because
if you want to watch a dumb movie, sure.
Yeah, have a bunch of people watch it with you. They have the one where it's we're gonna die a slow, painful death because it's a sloth and they're very slow.
The sloth wasn't though. They really pitched it like it was going to be doing slothy things. So this was a super active sloth.
Yeah,
it was doing cardio.
Yeah, they kept saying sloths aren't that fat or that slow, and I was like, yes, they are. Yes, they are. Some sloths die because they just don't move fast enough, and a branch breaks and they fall from the tree. Yeah, because they're just I'm just gonna chill here. I don't need to go anywhere. Yeah, I'm just gonna go. And then they're dead, and it's oops. Or some of them so desperate to get to a companion that some even try to swim and they can't. There's only one subspecies of sloth that can kind of swim. The rest of them just don't have the ability to do that. But if there's a sloth in heat calling for them, they might end up in the water trying to get to them, and then they just drown because they're just dumb.
Yeah, some of them
just
can.
Dumb babies.
That's one of the fun facts that I have, but I don't know which kind.
Yeah, some of them can. I'll have to double check which one it is. I want to say it's there's the pig-nosed sloth. I want to say it's them.
Or they're just sweet little babies.
Yeah,
not super smart.
And they got the piggy nose on it. It's a little pygmy sloth. Look how cute. But in this one, it is a three-toed sloth. It is, we're going to be talking about Slotherhouse, which premiered on Hulu this past October. And when I saw the trailer for it, I was like, wow, this is amazing. And then I immediately texted Kat and I was like, we need to somehow cover this. And then we ended up on this whole trip into murderous animals. Because there's been a few, like, we're not covering it, but Meg 2 came out. We will be covering next week Beast, Beast, which is about lions and has Idris Elba, and that came out this year. So it's a hot topic to be afraid of animals. Some of them reasonably so. Some of them exist. Some of them don't. Some of them exist in this way and then, don't.
Yeah.
And we also covered Cocaine Bear.
Yeah, I will say Slotherhouse does not have as much energy, or just like it doesn't bring to the table what Cocaine Bear did. Cocaine Bear was a silly time, but it was smartly written. It was well written and it had good jokes.
And good actors.
And good actors. And Slotherhouse does not deliver really on any of those fronts. It's just a silly, dumb movie that is funny because it's dumb, but that's its main reason for being funny. Like, it's not funny because it's smart. Yeah. So go into it with different expectations than you may have. Like, if you go straight from Cocaine Bear to this, you'll be like, damn, I'm disappointed.
Yeah, that's what one has.
Yeah. So
or like, dang.
Watch this one first, then Cocaine Bear, so that you're at least less disappointed. And you can maybe appreciate Cocaine Bear more for what it is.
Yeah, I think also I would put it in the category of like that Scary Sand movie we watched.
Yeah.
Where the sand was like eating people, or like the couch.
All equally stupid.
Or like those things when it's like you're going in, it's gonna be really silly. Yeah. But it's also like not charmingly silly the way that Cocaine Bear was, because Cocaine Bear was super charming in all aspects of it. This film is just kind of silly. It feels very amateur, and it is like, to me, it's kind of fun that something like this was funded for being so absurd, and it felt to me a little bit like a lot of in-jokes. Like, I'm not a part of a sorority, so I don't know. So it does feel like a little bit of some in-jokes.
For people who had actually been in, like, the culture of that,
Yeah, and also there were just some character choices that felt like, they were being a very freeing set where they're like, do something that's fun to you. But as creators, if you were the director, you're the casting, any part of the crew, you should feel like you can say, you know what, let's try a different one. Let's try a different voice. Let's try a different character. Like, what are we doing here? Maybe we shouldn't do that anymore. And yeah, that's how that's how I feel.
Yeah. We're not going to call anyone out specifically, but that was the emotion that was felt, I think, every time one character was on screen.
It was like, why? It was such a strong decision that was made and invested in, and every single time it was like jarring, even though we've known.
Like, you knew it was gonna happen.
Every time you're like, oh right, yeah, oh god,
yeah, that's what we're doing. Yep.
So let me tell you about Slotherhouse, brand spanking new, as absurd as it will sound. So it came out 2023. This past October. It's about Emily Young, a senior, wants to be elected as her sorority's president. She adopts a cute sloth, thinking it can become the new mascot and help her win, until a string of fatalities implicate the sloth as the main suspect in the murders, and it's directed by Matthew Goodhue. What a fun name, also, Matthew.
Goodhue.
Matthew Goodhue. Yeah, it's essentially that. So there's a girl who she's running for president of or she's thinking about running for president of her sorority. And her mother had been the president of the sorority in the past. And there's this girl who's like very typical sorority girl who's gotten it every single time.
Yeah, like the mean girl one who's like, everyone fear me. And everyone's like, okay, yeah, sure. You're a lot. That makes sense. I will.
Yeah. And I did find it odd, like the people that were in the sorority, again, just putting on a record that neither Kat and I have been in a sorority. I technically was in a sorority for a week. I couldn't tell you
Such a specific amount of time.
Yeah, I couldn't tell you which it was. I don't remember. But at my first college, there were 4 sororities. In Florida, fun fact, it's illegal for sororities and fraternities to have separate housing. Just because it's dangerous. Because then you're like, you think about all this sorority horror movies there are, some of which we've covered, some we haven't. And so it was illegal. So instead they had entire floors of one of the dorms. So it would be like this. And it was like the Tri-Delts and the whatever, Gamma Phi Beta, I think was the one I was in. Anyway, I could be making that up. I rushed because I thought it was fun. I was such a little weirdo. And like, I really was. I used to make these headbands and I put little things on them. So I had one that was like a little sailor hat. I used to wear that. I was such a weirdo. And
I love that for you.
Somehow,
I love that for little games.
they still let me in. The Tri-Delts was full of like very tall blonde women. It was all like volleyball sports girls. And I was like, that's not for me. There was one that was like mostly Jewish girls. And I was like, I can't be in that one.
Nope.
And then the one I ended up with was kind of like the Outcast group where it was like quirky fun.
Like the Amanda Bynes movie.
Regular. Yeah. Yes. Just like, House Bunny? House Bunny. That was Amanda Bynes. That's
the other one. No, I know it's a different person. I was thinking of the one with Amanda Bynes, and it's like the one that's themed off of Snow White.
I have no idea. How did I miss an Amanda Bynes movie?
I feel like you've definitely seen this movie, and I'm just not remembering it correctly. But essentially, it was based off of Snow White, and she's like there, and she helps everybody. And then I'm gonna look it up.
You have to look it up now. I have to watch this. I can't believe
we can watch it together because I would want to watch it because I love watching Amanda Bynes movies.
Yeah, I live for Amanda Bynes movies. Absolutely.
But you're correct. House Bunny was the correct movie that has the sorority themed one.
Yeah. It's like, Catherine. And she's like to say the name, Anna Faris would like say it really like blah blah blah. Yeah. But it was like that. Like the oddball, like how did they get that where they're the one sorority that's actually invested in like the philanthropy aspect of what they're doing and looking good on their record. And at first I wasn't accepted into the sorority, and then they had like callbacks because they didn't get enough pledges. And so there was just like a night where we were watching movies and like hanging out, and I went and I was a little more chill and I just like hung out and was me, funny. And they asked me and then I saw how much money it was and I was like, I can't do that. Yeah. So I was like, I would like to unpledge. And I like cried. I was so sad because I was like, I think I'm doing something wrong because I had already said yes. And then I was saying no.
And then you're like, the weight of their expectations.
Yeah. And they were like, it's okay. It's all right. I was like, oh my God, I failed you. They're like, it's fine, dude. I was like, I can't pay to have friends. I'm very poor. Help me, I'm poor.
And the fact that you have to pay to be in the first place indicates that that's not who they're looking for. So
yeah, for sure.
Unless they got scholarships and stuff.
I just got more nerdy. I went into the honors program. So
I have friends who did it, but I don't know what it was like for them.
Yeah, so there's a lot that's like in the air as far as understanding, because I was like, I just kind of know what I've seen on TV and like Legally Blonde, you got a sisterhood, seems cool, seems nice, that's nice. These girls are very like, it's an eclectic mix. You have one that's like very clearly a lesbian coded, like butch coded, but also not explicitly that. Like it just seemed like they were just intense, period. Never like there were times where I felt like, oh, they're trying to insinuate that this girl is into other girls, like when they had like the shower situation, but then later when the shower situation was happening, it just seemed like she really loves the game in the shower. Like it didn't really seem like she cared about the fact that girls are in the shower. She was just like, yo, let's go for the shower game is fun.
It's so fun. And
I was like, oh, okay, like I don't know what you're doing. And then there was like the girl who was like really smart and like actually really cool. And I was like, why would she? I just don't think she would find value in a sorority. So yeah, I question them. There's also some questionable lines for something made in 2023.
Yeah, I think as far as for that sorority, it didn't make sense because they were all super mean
Yeah.
and like rude about stuff. Where it's like if you're super smart, like I wouldn't be putting up with that.
Yeah. Yeah. Especially, yeah, I agree. Like with House Bunny, all of them were equally weird. With this, it was like a lot of them were like very popular, what you would get in a sorority type girl. So them mingling with them is kind of weird. And I the
unless
main
that was
character
like
I
the
get
vibe.
because she's like a whatever it's called when you
Legacy.
Thank you. So she's legacy, that's fine. I get it. The house bunny, the host mom, was weird. And she was fun until they tried to make her more. They gave her like lines and stuff, and then it got bad. Then it was like, oh no, she should be quiet.
Stop saying stuff, yeah.
That happens a lot. But essentially, the girl who wants to run for president, she's obsessed with how many likes and subscribers she has on social media. It's a really big thing. I guess it influences who's in charge because that's how you show how popular you are. And they did have a really fun thing where it did show you like how many followers everyone had and kind of got a glimpse of their like social media. And it was cute. And then it kind of went on for a little longer. And it was like, okay, I get it. But a few times I was like, okay, that's fun. And then it kind of went away.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, I think it'd be kind of cool if we saw them like going up and going down more.
Yeah, based on things they're doing. I feel like they like had some interesting concepts, but they didn't implement them to the end of what it could have been. Yeah.
Yeah. So in an attempt to get more popular, she gets this idea that if she gets a really cute pet or an exotic pet, she could skyrocket, which is true. That one I believe. And she is in the mall. I forget. Oh, she saved like this little dog was running away. She saved this little dog. And so there's this weirdo in the mall who's like, hey, little girl, you like weird animals? I have one. Come to my house. And she's like, sure, yeah, 100%.
Yeah, why not? Stranger that I've never met before this moment.
Yeah,
you have exotic animals that'll make me popular and you talk to me in this really creepy way? That seems like a great plan.
And he's like, this grown, it's like a mall. He's just sitting there. It's so weird. Like, first
and the
of all,
dog
he goes to a
pees
mall
on him, and they both laugh about it. It's really weird.
It's a lot of weird, but
I would be a little more upset if the dog peed on me, like that I didn't know.
Yeah,
you know? Like I wouldn't be like mad, but I would be like, ew. You know, he didn't even like react. It was wild. It was a weird
he was strange, and again, it wasn't the quirky, charming, weird that Cocaine Bear characters were, because each one of them was very weird, but they were like fun weird, where these were like uncomfortable weird. I don't know how else to explain it. And we actually know that something's up with the sloth because there were people trying to. Oh, there was like an animal that was trying to attack it, like it was like sneaking up on it, and this sloth is murdery for some reason, and it's very sly, and it ended up murdering the predator instead, and then it's spooking the folks who came to like steal animals. And so somehow Alpha gets caught, and so she agrees to out of desperation to go get this sloth to help with her popularity. And so she texts to go do that, and he's just like, yeah, just show up, whatever. And then he gets murdered by the sloth. And like I totally get like that, super valid. I understand why the sloth wanted to kill this guy. What happened to the body? Sloths are not strong. Like you could lie and say sloths are fast enough.
Actually, they are
that strong though. People strong.
Yeah, they're 3 times stronger than us apparently.
What the f?
Yeah,
you're kidding.
That's one of my facts. No, that's legit.
That's crazy. I take it back.
They're super strong. Like you need 3 people to handle them because they're that strong.
That's insane in my brain.
They literally do pull-ups all day, Gabe.
Yeah, I guess they're like holding their own weight, but they can't weigh that much.
They're strong.
Where are the muscles? Where do they keep them?
Under all the cute little fluff
Oh,
and
cute little
ecosystems.
scratchy fur. Okay,
Yeah.
well, cool. So Alpha gets rid of the guy's body.
I don't mean to correct you on camera.
No, I'm glad you did. I love learning.
Yeah. I have like
good.
a bunch of like weird facts about sloths that I'm like, I had no idea about any of these things.
I can't wait. Stay tuned for the facts section. So she starts killing like immediately. The film becomes quite a blur of like, as soon as she does get the sloth, it's clear that she's like moving up in the ranks.
Yeah.
There's a point of contention with her and her best friend, who's the one smart person. Like her whole thing is that she's really smart and like worldly, and she's like, it's not good to have sloths. Like this is illegal. Yeah. it's unhealthy for the sloth.
Yeah.
It probably wants to go home. You should send it back. You're being selfish. Yeah. But she does it in a very nice way, to be quite honest. Like, she did it in a very kind way as a friend, that I was like, that's dope.
Yeah, she was also, like, one of the better actors in the film. She did a good job.
Which is why it's kind of sad that, like, she wasn't really there.
Yeah.
She was busy, being smart or whatever. And throughout the time, there's, like, the movie is mostly a montage of fun sorority happenings that involve the sloth. So as I showed before, if you're watching, they have shirts where they changed one of the letters to look like a sloth face, which shows her rising in popularity because people show up wearing them. In the montage, there's like games where they're playing and the sloth is involved, like volleyball or something. There's ones where they're like suntanning out on the lawn, drinking stuff. If you're watching, I'm putting up a sloth picture. She's so cute. They do name her Alpha, kind of as a joke because she's not a predator. Yeah. So they're like, she's the Alpha, which I thought was really cute. And so I now dubbed my stuffed animal, one of them, Alpha.
Excellent.
And this little one could be Omega because that's cute.
That would be cute.
Alpha Omega. I have 2 sloth stuffed animals, and I did, though I can't find it, have a sloth onesie, which we'll throw up a picture of me in the sloth onesie that Kat bought me for my 20-something birthday.
One of those years that we knew each other.
It was a really dark time, and honestly, that was like a highlight of my entire year because it was such a depressing time, and then I got this sloth onesie, and it made my life better. So for people who don't know, sloths are one of my favorite animals, and I know that like a lot of people love sloths now, but I loved them for a long time.
Yeah, that was one of my first friendship facts that you told me, is that you love sloths.
Yeah. One of these is bought by Vicky, who's my other best friend, and I don't remember. I think the little one is for my sister, but yeah, people tend to know I love sloths. They just boost my serotonin. Like, I used to just, when I was really sad, just watch videos of like sloths hanging out or getting a bath. And they do like their little, or yawning, give them some flowers, hang them up to dry.
Yeah.
I just be picking them up on the side of the road. I was like, hell yeah. Sloth video, thank you. That's what I needed.
Yeah.
A little boost, a little pick me up. So if you're ever wondering how to do that, to how to make me happy, send me some sloth images and videos, and I'll be happy. Same thing with pigs. I love pigs.
For me, it's cats and raccoons. So.
Yeah, cats and raccoons for Kat. Pigs and sloths for me. Sloths are so smart. And,
it's true.
And pigs are so smart. Animals are smart.
Yeah.
Come on, guys. So Alpha is very smart and very unlike most sloths of her kind, and she is murderous, and she's just going around slashing all these girls, and like they're going missing and no one cares. Like, I don't know how much time has supposedly like passed, but like it's enough that I feel like people would be like, where's this person?
Yeah.
No,
and it's like, it's really wild. Like, one, the montage that they do of it, but also just like the way the sloth like learns human stuff as they go. Like, the whole social media aspect comes into play with the sloth. And then, yeah, as you said, like they just go missing and like, no, they're like, have you seen this person? And like,
Yeah.
I'm sure they're just doing something.
She was gone.
Yeah.
Whatever.
And then
no
it's
one
like
ever checks someone's
most of the house, and no one has looked for these people. Like, what do you mean?
And they still have so many people because for the ceremony of picking the president, right, they have a vote and they don these like red cloaks and they have a lock-in, which is supposed to like represent how you trust your sisters or whatever. So we have a montage of all the fun things they're doing, and then we have a montage simultaneously of Alpha just murdering people willy-nilly, no one caring. And then we end up in the lockdown, where there's like weird games happening, and eventually the vote will happen as well. And this is where things like take a turn where our main character notices that something is up and that actually Alpha's been murdering people. And Alpha tries to murder her and the other presidential candidate.
Yeah.
And they are like, oh, we're bonding over the fact that we almost got murdered by our house mascot.
Yeah, despite the fact that this girl like was really mean. Like the whole time. Like she didn't just suddenly get unmean. Like I don't know what like character growth we got at the end where they're just suddenly cool now. I was just like, I don't get it. I don't think we grew. I don't know.
No.
I don't think trauma just makes you a better person every time, you know?
Yeah. She's the one who says like we're gonna die a long, slow death. You know, because of the sloth. But she hides for a long time. She was actually pretty smart. She was like, I am not coming out.
She's like, I'm not gonna help you. No.
We also have, so we get introduced to some really silly things that happen in this film. So the sloth is very unsloth-like in that one, it has a social media account where it's been tweeting or whatever, posting pictures of her and her victims, and no one seems to care. They're not like, hey, this person's been missing. Here's the only picture we've seen of them.
Also, like, look at all these murder photos. Like, what? Who cares?
Two, she has a phone. Question mark.
Yeah.
She steals a car. She drives a car. That was really fun. And then at one point, it's just, I thought it was, that part, like, it gets really unhinged at the end, and I was like, that's great. It went on for far too long than it should have.
Absolutely.
But there was parts where I was like, okay, that's cute. Like when someone finds a sword and then you're like, okay, yeah, Alpha's going to get this sword.
Yeah.
And then, of course, Alpha gets the sword. And I was like, that's cute. That's
they escalated the weapons, too, like every time. They're like,
yeah,
here's
there's
a weapon.
like a gun.
That's what's going to use
I don't think Alpha ever shot the gun. That is one thing that they kept. They did keep that I remember. I don't, because I was looking for it and never once did they have the gun.
Yeah.
They did have the sword though. I will find that picture and put it up as well. And so it's super silly and chaotic. And then she like sneaks out and the friend who is trying to save Alpha and get her home gets hit by a car or a bus.
Oh my god, it was like that other movie we watched that was one of the Insidious movies.
Insidious 3.
Yeah. It was like, just hokey. Like, it was so silly how she gets hit by a car. Like,
yeah. I'd say the only time that was funny is Mean Girls.
Yeah. And then the joke was, maybe it's like a nod to Mean Girl. Like, there are a few things that felt like nods to other things.
Yeah.
If you, like, knew, but, like, I don't know.
I don't know if we knew. Yeah. The bus thing felt weird. It wasn't funny to me. A lot of the things like just hit like nothing. They just like were put out there and you were like, oh, okay. I was like, all right, yeah.
I got you.
And then there was like mixed in there with some like cute or like kind of funny scenes, but overall it was just a very peculiar film. And for me, it just felt like a lot of inside jokes.
Yeah.
Like it felt to me like a lot, like the people who made it probably felt really strongly about what was happening and like thought it was really funny. And I think that's wonderful for them.
Yeah, it was really funny for them.
Yeah, and I would love to hear from people to tell me if they understood or thought some of this stuff was funny. Because I just think it fell flat for me. Because I didn't get it.
Yeah.
It just wasn't funny.
Well, yeah, every film has a different audience. It's possible we're just not the audience. That's okay.
Which is sad because I love Sloths.
Yeah.
I thought I was the primo audience. And they didn't
Well,
do
it's
it.
a specific niche of sloth plus college sorority fraternity life.
Yeah.
Social media
slashers.
influencer kind of thing.
Yeah. I don't know. I had high hopes, and that's probably my problem.
We watched Cocaine Bear first. That was the mistake.
Mm-hmm.
We watched them before we watched all
out,
of these animal movies, and that's the mistake that we made because that was the best one.
It set the bar so high.
It set the bar so high. I was wanting this movie to be as good as Cocaine Bear, and that was my fault because they're totally different movies, and that's okay. They're allowed to both exist in their own little worlds. But my mistake was watching Cocaine Bear first because it ruined me for this movie.
Yeah, no, I agree. And it went on, everything went too long. It really needed an editor that was going to be like, you don't need that part.
The House Mom reminded me of that one movie we watched where it was like an older film where there was a sorority and it was, you know what I'm talking about? The house mom there also like drank a lot and was a little uncomfortable in terms of like their relationship with the other people in the house.
Yeah, I wonder... Yeah, that was the one we did when
it could have been like a nod to that. That's another part.
The patriarchy.
Yeah, where I'm like, are these nods to other films? Because if so, then I see why we did it, and that's fine. But I also like, I don't know if we needed to. It's okay.
Yeah, like, you know, for example, I've never seen Slumber Party Massacre, and I know people love that movie, and it's on my to watch, I promise.
Well, maybe there's nods to that.
Maybe it's nods to that. Maybe it's nods. Like, there have been so many horror movies at sororities and involving sororities. There's been real life murders in sororities. So I can imagine they're having a lot of influences from something like that. Like, we covered 2 sororities in our F the Patriarchy. Or, we covered 2. So, like, you know, and they absolutely could have been referenced here because there was like some of the ceremony aspect I feel like came from some of those. So I get it. It just, most of it fell flat for me. It took everything was just very drawn out. Like, I thought the movie ended like 7 different times. I was like, okay, it's done. And then it kept going, and not in a fun way. It was just like, oh.
The Sloth
Alpha just win.
Living.
Alpha just win.
Like, win or like go to bed.
Or lose. Like, win or lose. That's it. Those are the options.
And then, they just kept not getting a victory on either end. And
And it was like the strongest sloth that ever existed, in that like it was impervious to everything. Like, it got shot so many times.
So many times. And it was fine. And you're like, how?
Yeah.
How?
Yeah.
It don't make sense. Scientifically, it doesn't make sense. We're watching a movie, though, so I guess.
I think this film... You're doing it again. I think this film would have done great in the time period where the scary movies, the trend of movies where they were like, adventure movie, scary movie, like they were making fun of movies, or just like the gist of movies, and it was like everything was tongue-in-cheek, we're being funny and we're making, you know, notes about stuff. I think absolutely. I think the problem is that the creators put way too much weight into horror movies that are in sororities, and in belief that so many people had watched them or cared. Like, had there been some recent ones that were like really, really good, or there was like a rebirth of sorority films, slashers, absolutely, but there's not. So you'd have to be like a hardcore, like very niche fan to get some of those things. And so I think everything felt a little too niche for me. It was just trying too hard, which was sad. I really had high hopes. Slotherhouse, like everything about it is very cheesy. So that's Slotherhouse. Again, don't recommend super, super highly. Just for fun, if you want, like, watch it with some friends. But just know that it's not like it's a pretty throwaway film. I would prefer you watch Cocaine Bear. Yeah.
If you had to pick between absurd animal murder movies, Cocaine Bear wins.
Yeah. Especially for an animal that could actually kill you. Bears, it's kind of there's a little more respect for it. But let's learn about what is scary about sloths and how they could actually harm you.
As a segue, though, there are sloth bears.
Yes,
so
true.
I want there to be a sloth bear movie.
Yeah.
So that we can talk about that as like the middle ground between sloth murder and bear murder. But yeah, I looked up some sloth facts, and they're pretty interesting, honestly. I'm gonna give like the overarching ones and like explain some. So sloths, apparently, without them, there would not be avocados. It's a fun fact. Specifically,
Thank you, sloths.
all these facts come from the slothconservation.org. They also go into like details of like how to conserve the wildlife of sloths and like their environments, because they are on like in danger of going extinct because of the deforestation. They're very sensitive to deforestation, so that's just like that's a thing. So that's also on there if you want to go read. But essentially, without sloths, there'd be no avocados. The extinct giant ground sloths were some of the only mammals that had digestive systems large enough to process huge avocado seeds whole. So, like, you know, when you're making your avocado toast, as a millennial would, those giant seeds in there, they're the only animal at the time that had the digestive system big enough to like ingest those, and then what they would do is they would poop them out and then they would grow into more avocados. So essentially all tree sloths that we see in the wild evolved from these giant ground sloths that made avocados possible.
That's super cool. You can also use avocado pits to make natural dye. Ooh. And it's like a light pink dye.
Yeah, I've also seen people use them as like tea, as like an antioxidant thing, as like a health thing. I don't know. I've never done it, but it looked interesting. You can also grow avocado seeds if you break them open and you put water in them in a wet paper towel. It's a fun fact. It has nothing to do with any of this, but I've done that before. It's also a science experiment that they do in like middle school. Now, not like when I was a kid, but like it's now when you work in schools. So yeah, there's also apparently 80 different, or they're thought to be over 80 different types of sloths. The largest being the Megatherium, which I'll talk about later, which reached over 6 meters high. The next fact is sloths are 3 times stronger than us. They're big, strong boys and girls. They're babies. They're strong guys. Sloths are the undisputed pull-up world champions, is what the article says. From the moment they are born, sloths are able to lift their entire body weight upwards with just one arm. Not only that, but sloths have 30% less muscle mass than similar sized mammals and are over 3 times stronger than the average human. So, they have basically a highly specialized muscle arrangement that can produce enough strength to withstand the force of a jaguar trying to rip them off of a tree.
What was nature thinking?
Yeah.
We have to protect these cute little guys.
So we made them super strong.
So they can't get, like, imagine a jaguar is like,
and he's like, no. I want to sit on my tree and
I want to lay down.
I want to smile and be here. So their specialized tendons in a sloth's hands and feet lock in place, allowing them to hang upside down for long periods of time, but without wasting any energy. They just have little clamps, and they clamp on there, and you can't get them off. Yeah, look at them. Look at the little clamps. This unique locking mechanism is also how sloths are able to sleep while hanging upside down from a tree. And they have even been known to remain suspended upside down after death. So it doesn't even release after they've gone into the sweet abyss of the afterlife.
Little sloth heaven in the sky.
Yeah. They still are hanging by their trees because they enjoy sleeping upside down. Yeah, look at the
little friend. Little friend.
Number 3, they poop a third of their body weight in one go. Isn't that crazy? A little gross.
That is crazy.
Sloths are famous for their bizarre bathroom habits. They will only relieve themselves once a week and can lose up to a third of their body weight in one sitting. Furthermore, they will only do it on the ground after wiggling around the base of a tree to dig a hole. This weird weekly routine remains one of the biggest mysteries surrounding sloth behavior. And while there are many different theories, the likely explanation is that it's all about communication and reproduction. I don't know why it doesn't go on to explain it further, but That's the theorized reason why they only go to the bathroom once a week and they have to do a dance.
Well, if they have to do that whole thing, like
Yeah.
if they have this compulsion to do that whole thing, I can get why it's once a week. That's a lot.
Yeah, it's a lot of
I
movement.
just want to chill on my tree. I don't
Yeah.
like to use the bathroom. I don't like how much time it takes just to. I pee a lot. I always have to pee, and I hate it every single time.
Yeah,
like again.
If you're the if you got any neurospice, I know a big thing that we're known to do is to either not realize we have to pee till we have to pee, or you intentionally dehydrate yourself because going to the bathroom's annoying.
Yeah, it's
So you
the
just rather not.
worst. I totally get it.
I do that all the
Also,
time.
totally envious. Like to lose a third of your body weight every time you use a bathroom and be like, heck yeah.
Yeah.
Like right before I have to be like really fit and skinny. I'd be like, gotta go use the bathroom.
Yeah.
Let me go do my dance.
Under the tree. I like the claws that are going in there.
My three claws.
Energy. Right. That's ridiculous. Okay. Number 4, sloths are blind in bright daylight, essentially. They do not like the big sun.
But that's why they always squint and they look high
Yeah.
all the time.
Yeah. They have a very rare condition called rod monochromacy. I probably said that super wrong, which means that they completely lack cone cells in their eyes. And as a result, all sloths are colorblind. And they can only see poorly in dim light and are completely blind in bright daylight. Thankfully, sloths compensate for such poor vision by having a phenomenal sense of smell and a great spatial memory. So they like remember where stuff is. Yeah.
Well, they don't go very far. It's
Yeah.
not hard to remember this branch.
I can't remember where I put my phone sometimes. So
Yeah.
sometimes it's in the fridge and you're like, how? So
true.
sloths are winning.
Like, how did I get all the way to that branch?
Yeah. It's the
I
same,
don't
it's the
remember
same
being
thing.
over
We
there.
relate, you know?
I don't remember being over there.
Their bad eyesight also plays a key role in sloth's slowness because you can't run around in the trees if you can't see where you're going. You got to be careful.
That's
Slow and
true.
steady wins the
Bonk
race.
right into a tree.
Yeah, you got to go careful. 5, they're
So
faster.
they'd be like,
Yeah. Number 5 is they're faster in water than on land.
it's kind of scary.
Yeah, although they spend a lot of time in the trees, sloths are surprisingly good swimmers. Some of them, not all of them.
Mhm.
They can swim through water 3 times faster than they can move on the ground. 3-fingered sloths have 2 more neck vertebrae than other mammals. And this allows them to turn their heads through 270 degrees by effortlessly keeping their nose above water when swimming.
Yeah,
they just be
because their
doing that.
neck is super long, so they can lift it up.
Yep.
But I think it's the pig nose one that only has 2
Yeah,
claws
so they can't
that
do
they're
that.
like more
It's harder.
stump-necked, so they drown easier.
Yeah, that makes
What
sense
it
to me
is.
mathematically. Number 6 is it takes sloths 30 days to digest a leaf. That makes me think they shouldn't be eating leaves. They should eat
A
other
leaf.
things. A single
What,
leaf. Yeah.
Yeah, what would go faster? Should they be eating mush? Should they be eating
It's like
berries?
how the bears that eat the eucalyptus, they shouldn't be eating that because it's not good for them. But they do it
Well,
because
it's
they
like
like
the-
to be
yeah, the-
high.
The
How do
panda
they live?
bears, like how panda bears eat bamboo, but they're carnivores and they're
Yeah.
not supposed to be eating just plants. But they're like, we fucking love this plant, dude.
Yeah.
We're gonna munch on this all day. And We
Yeah.
have no energy now.
Yeah. It's
We're
koala
supposed to
bears,
eat
I
'em.
think, that eat the eucalyptus. And
Yeah,
it's
the
like bad for
eucalyptus.
them. But that's all
But
they
they're
eat.
like nice.
I think it's wild because, like, as a people, my stuff doesn't like to eat stuff either. But like, how do they function? It's crazy.
You eat cheese, and you can't eat cheese.
I hate eating cheese. I don't do it because it's
You
bad.
do it.
I sometimes
You'll eat it like you eat cheese. We're gonna fight. You eat cheese,
Sometimes, yes.
and you enjoy it.
Yeah, but
You
it's
suffer for it
ouch.
because you like it.
I know, but it's
Yeah,
ouch.
but you still do it. That's what I'm trying to say. It's like
Okay.
it is ouch and it is bad for you, but you still do eat cheese.
That's fair. That's
Sometimes.
fair. Okay,
Not
so
all the time.
I get why.
Not as much.
But okay, for koala bears, they only eat
Yeah.
that. They
Yeah.
only eat the thing that's ouch. So
Yeah.
that's where I'm like, how do you live?
Yeah.
It's fine. It's
Well,
fine.
this is like my little brother. He was allergic to ranch dressing,
oh no.
but he would like always eat ranch dressing. Like his salads would be 90% ranch dressing. It's really gross. Like he just lather it up and then he would break out in like hives. but he would eat it anyway. And now he's not allergic to ranch dressing. So that's a fun
Some
story.
things that works with, some things it doesn't. Some things you do too much of it and then you just die. But for some things you can build a tolerance to.
You can't microdose everything.
Yeah, you can't microdose everything. Some things you will die.
Microdose
Mold,
ranch,
you'll die.
You can't do it.
You don't just get less.
Probably not.
Yeah, you don't just get less allergic as you go.
You can't just. I guess people do be
apparently
doing cyanide, little cyanide things. I don't know. That could be a myth.
Do that
It could be a myth.
Find me the article.
Making up stuff.
Okay. As I said, it takes sloths 30 days to digest a leaf. Sloths have one of the lowest metabolic rates of any other mammal, which means that it takes them a long time to digest anything. They have an incredibly large and permanently full 4-chambered stomach, which can account for up to, you have one.
Okay, but it's full.
Which can account for up to 30% of their body mass. In two-fingered sloths, this oversized stomach is supposedly is supported by 46 ribs, 23 pairs. That's so many. Which is more than any other mammal.
They don't make any sense. We should do an episode about platypi because now we're just getting into like bonkers animals.
Yeah, why your body do this? Why is it like this?
Who did this to you?
The universe, I guess.
Yeah. Evolution.
So apparently number 7 is they can starve to death on a full stomach. Unlike most mammals, sloths have sacrificed their ability to control their body temperature in order to save energy. Instead, they are completely reliant on environmental conditions, and their core temperature can fluctuate over 10 degrees Celsius during the course of a single day. If they get too cold, the special microbes that live in their stomachs can die, and the sloth can no longer digest the leaves that it needs. So they can't be cold. That's why you can't have them as pets. They're so sensitive.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's like they should learn from the whales and unionize to protect their places.
That took me a second. I was like, sloths should unionize. It would take too long, Gabe.
Well, just like regular bureaucracy.
Yeah.
It would be pretty regular. But yeah, I just feel like they're so strong. Imagine if they got it together enough and we're like, you know what, let's protect the land that we have. Because that's the big thing, right? Is like our environments are changing in temperature, which is going to jeopardize their health. The sources that they eat helps them sustain this very bizarre way that they exist is also going to become harder to come by. Yeah. So, and then also the trees, the beloved trees that they love. There's a lot of deforestation in Costa Rica. So it's like those things, unfortunately, they take all the avocados out. Right? They're doing a lot. So, I feel like the next step in their evolution is to either get a little faster or to unionize, get close together and realize that they're stronger together.
They are very strong, so they could. Apparently, sloths can fall 100 feet without injury. Sloths it's all that
secret muscles.
Maybe that's why I could get shot 8 times and just get up,
Just bounced off.
Yeah.
They're actually like the Wolverine the Wolverine X-Men, not the Wolverine animal. The Wolverine X-Men of the animals.
Yeah, that's cool. So sloths are anatomically designed to fall out of trees. They're meant to fall out of trees. That's their whole purpose.
Who did this to them?
On average, a sloth will fall out of a tree once a week, usually to poop, I guess, because that's when they do that.
Time to go. All right, time to dance.
It's convenient at that point.
That's my poop dance.
Okay, so they fall out of the trees to poop as Gabe did the dance, so that you can know what it looks like, because that's gonna be accurate. So yeah, they can fall really far Plummet over 100 feet without injury. Apparently the height of 12 double-decker buses. Oh my god, I can't. Okay, hold on.
Okay.
When two sloths fight, it is typically over access to mating times.
Yes.
And the aim of a sloth fight is to knock your opponent out of the tree. Because if you follow the tree, you can't mate. So get out of the tree, go poop. We can go back and do this again.
Imagine you trying to be like, hey lady, hey, how you doing? And then you get knocked out of the tree. And then you're like, well, I'm down here.
Might as well.
Might as well.
I would be pissed if I had already. And I'd be like, damn. It's so inconvenient.
Oh yeah, now I gotta get back up.
I didn't get to spawn or poop. This is the worst day.
Yeah, I'm gonna go eat some leaf.
We have some leaf to digest for a month. So yeah, I'll keep going. Number 9, they can cure cancer. That's awesome. I love that for them.
They buried the lead.
Yeah, it's like one of the most important.
Which cancer? How?
So yeah, sloths have an unusual method of camouflage. Cracks in their hair allow many different species of algae and fungi to grow, which makes them appear green. Some species of fungi living in a sloth's fur have been found to be active against certain strains of bacteria, cancer, and parasites. A big thing about this, though, is you need them to live long enough to develop these kinds of bacteria. So that's why their environments are super important. Sloth hair also provides home to an entire ecosystem of invertebrate, some species of which are found nowhere else on Earth, like the sloth moth. Cool. And maybe that's what these little guys are.
Yeah, if you're watching, I put sloth fur up and you can see little guys on them.
Yeah, so they have this really unique like ecosystem on their backs.
That's dope.
A single sloth can host up to 950 moths and beetles within its fur at once. I don't know why they'd be washing them then, like in the videos.
Yeah.
They don't need baths. They need to not be clean to grow this stuff.
To be fair, the sloth sanctuary in Costa Rica, no one should support that. It's actually pretty harmful. They like straight up abduct sloths from their habitat and under the guise of rehabilitation and like to put them back into the wild, but they never do. And it's just under like, it's no real actual care for the sloths. And those videos of them bathing them and stuff is usually from the sloth sanctuary. They have a great market campaign.
That sucks.
Yeah. Just go to Costa Rica and just like look around. You'll probably see a sloth and just wave at them.
Yeah. Don't touch them.
Like, oh, you cute. Maybe put them on a tree branch if they're in the middle of the road.
Yeah.
But don't touch them. You pick them up with the branch and they're just like,
thanks.
Okay, bye.
Yeah. And the last fact is no one knows how long they live for. Because sloths are so difficult to study in the wild, no one has ever followed an individual from birth until death, and it is virtually impossible to accurately determine the age of an adult sloth. All we have to go on is the lifespan in captivity, but sloths do not do well outside of their natural environment. The oldest known sloth in the world just turned 50 years old, and she lived in a zoo in Germany. We suspect that wild sloths actually live much longer than that because they're not like unhappy or like in environments that like don't support them. As I mentioned before, were giant sloths in ancient times, or like, the before. Yes, thank you. Called Megatherium, and they're the largest ground sloths, an extinct group of mammals belonging to a group containing sloths, anteaters, glyptodonts, and armadillos. Underwent a highly successful evolutionary radiation in South America in the Cenozoic era, beginning 65.5 million years ago. So they were big guys. They were big. The size of these animals approximated to that of a modern elephant. And they were equipped with large claws and teeth. The latter were confined to the sides of the jaw because the animal fed largely on leaves of trees and bushes. Ground sloths appeared briefly in North America during the Pleistocene epoch, so 2.6 million to 11,700 years ago, when a land connection was established between the American continents. The last little piece of information I'm going to give you is from an article called "I Want to Hold a Sloth: Why You Should Never Ever Touch Sloths!" Exclamation point.
Okay.
Now, why
No
can't you
touch.
hold one? They say sloths are calm creatures that wouldn't harm a fly if left alone. They want to be left alone. They spend most of their time hiding in the trees and being as silent as they can, since they are a prey species in the forest. They are pursued by humans, eagles, and wild cats. Nonetheless, they are hazardous, since they have the ability to defend themselves if needed, because they got the big claws and teeth that could bite you. This doesn't mean a sloth would come after you. Due to their inherent lack of aggression, sloths are not a threat to humans if you leave them alone.
Unbothered.
But essentially, they do not like to be touched. So if you touch them, they're going to be upset. So if you come too close for their comfort, they can be deadly and severely hurt people, specifically as a means to defend themselves using their razor-sharp teeth and claws. Their large and powerful claws can cause a lot of harm to a human opponent. As you can see, they're big. These claws are strong because they are designed to grasp onto branches while bearing the animal's weight. So they're like very strong. If they scratched you, you would get messed up. But also because
Plus it's full of bacteria.
yeah, it is filled with bacteria that your body is not even kind of ready to fight.
Literally only one place is where it can grow.
Yeah.
It's on that sloth.
Yeah. So when they scratch and bite at their predator, they may suffer severe bleeding or loss of tissue. And it's very likely that those wounds will become infected. Two-fingered sloths can bite anyone who approaches them too closely with their four sharp teeth, which resemble big canines. If left untreated, a wound or a scratch from a sloth can be severely infected due to the bacteria that they carry, which can bring a lot of health issues where you could even lose a limb. Even the specialized staff at the TRR can tell you this is very likely and very serious. Handling sloths in a clinic is a 3-person job at least. Despite being little creatures, they have 3 or more people's worth of strength. And accidents with sloths have happened in the past due to just like people not handling them correctly and them getting upset. So they will attack under stress. Additionally, interacting with them is like not good for the babies. We've seen a lot of representations of sloths in media, and it seems like you would want to hug them. Oh, so cute.
They're so cute.
You know? But essentially, interacting with people brings a lot of stress to the wildlife. And as we mentioned, like the risk of illness and aggression towards you. In the case of sloths, they exhibit different body language than other animals. So it can be challenging for people to determine if a sloth is unwell or unhappy. So it's really hard to read if the sloth's upset with you or if they're going to attack.
Because they always look like this.
Yeah, they look just so cute. Unfortunately, sloths offered as pets typically come from the wild, and it's quite likely that parents were kidnapped from the wild several years prior, even if the baby sloth was born in captivity. So you should not have a sloth as a pet. You should not do what this movie does. And you're not doing what's right for the animal at the end of the day, and touching them is just like not good for them.
The answer to the "can I pet that dog"
is no. Yeah.
It's usually no.
Are they the most precious baby to ever exist? Absolutely.
Yeah.
But like you can just look, you know?
Yeah. Go, hey, that's cool. I would love going, like, I hate zoos, but if I go to the zoo, I would always very specifically go to just look at the sloths.
Yeah.
And that was enough just to see them existing. Like, yeah, good job.
Yeah, like they're adorable.
Thank you.
Absolutely. But you should not touch them. They do not have the ability to give you consent for touching because we don't understand sloth body language or like how they communicate. So all in all, just a bad idea.
Takes a long time for them to communicate it.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's the biggest lesson from Slotherhouse. Was not that it's going to slasher you and all your friends. It's just like the one friend that was like, this is bad for them. They don't like everything she said was accurate. And yeah, as fun as it sounds to have a sloth as a pet, it's not, in that you're putting it in harm's way.
Yeah.
It's just like people who get weird, like people who have like the big cats because like maybe they got it by accident or something, but it's like at some point you got to get rid of that cat. Excellent. So that was Slotherhouse. Again, you don't have to watch the movie, but you should learn some sloth facts and you should respect them. And you owe it to yourself to watch a cute sloth video. Or watch the ones where they pick them up with a leaf, like stick to get them on the other side. Because they just like look like the chillest little guys. Just
yeah,
like,
they love being picked up by a stick. Don't use your hands. The hands are bad. But stick, absolutely. No. They love branches. They love leaf.
They love branches. Love leaf takes them a moment to digest. Yeah. And if you see a sloth on the ground doing a little dance, leave it alone.
Yeah.
It's a private moment. Yeah, so this is a fun installation in our spooky animals series. We'll have like a real we're going back to like a real scary animal next week, and then we're going to questionably scary if you ask Gabe, definitely scary animal the week after, and then we'll start something new. But I'm very excited. We got some really cool stuff going on, and it's just fun. If you are able to check out our YouTube or even Spotify, you can watch the videos on Spotify to check out just some of the costume designs.
Gabe went all out this week. I'm just a sorority.
I'm having fun being animals.
Sloth sorority.
It's a perfect sloth sorority.
Killing it. Well, we can't say our phrase anymore because Gabe gone and did it.
We can.
Or do.
Don't get married.
But don't let him eat your kids. And don't let your kids touch sloths.
Do as I say.
Yeah.
Not as I do. Yeah. Yeah. Don't let your kids touch sloths.
Yeah.
Don't have a pet sloth. It's not good for you or the sloth kids. All right, cool.
Bye.
We'll see you next week.